Hi, this is Lalit from Astrology Vibrations, and we have a fun contest for you with a Halloween theme. Watch this short video for clues and details about how to win. In this contest, we have 8 notorious evildoers, and the person who can match the most creeps with their astrological chart wins a 2-hour free reading. But everybody who enters can have fun and learn about astrology at the same time. Our evildoers in alphabetical order are John Wayne Bobbitt, Lizzie Borden, Bernie Madoff, Benito Mussolini, Nikita Khrushchev, Scott Peterson, Vladimir Putin, and O.J. Simpson. In this video, you'll see 8 astrological charts, one for each of these people. And I'll give you a minute or two of clues for each chart. Just match the chart with the evildoer and you can win. Of course, we're on the honor system, so just use any knowledge or sleuthing ability that you have. But please, don't use any outside source, such as the internet, just to look up the answers, because that would make you one of the evildoers. You have until October 28th to submit your answers, so think about it carefully because there is only one entry per person, and also you must subscribe to this channel, Astrology Vibrations. In our previous contest, we investigated each sign from the perspective of a person who expressed that sign in a very high-minded and spiritually elevated fashion. Let me be perfectly clear, there is no such thing as an evil astrological sign. Free choice is always available to each of us. We can choose to live in the higher spiritual vibration of each astrological aspect, or we can make the opposite choice as the people in this contest did. The choice is yours. Let this contest be an example to each of you regarding how to make better choices. You can see the number in the upper left corner for each chart. This is chart number 1. Notice that the rising sign is Leo, but in the 12th house, also in Leo, is a conjunction of Saturn and Pluto. In a spiritually oriented person, this could indicate developing a talent for mediumship. The negative choices, however, indicate dark secrets, hidden matters, death, and possible imprisonment. This individual also has the Sun, Mercury, and Venus all in the sign of Cancer in the 11th house. This would indicate a person who is outwardly very friendly, with developed social skills, and appears to be sweet, loving, and charismatic. This is amplified by the ruler of Cancer, the Moon, being in another sensitive sign, Pisces. And the Moon is in the 8th house of death, in Pisces, which is the ruler of the 12th house. And so we end where we started, in 12th house matters. Again, a high-minded person could use this for mediumship and spiritual development. But as this person is on our list of creeps, you already know which choice was made. Now let's go to chart number 2. Chart number 2 is another Leo rising. Full disclosure, though, there is some uncertainty about the time of this person's birth. There are 2 choices, but either choice would indicate Leo rising. Here, the Moon is also in Leo, which would add some possible emotional flare-ups in a person with a very strong ego. The ruler of Leo, the Sun, is in Aries in an elevated position near the midheaven, indicating strong-willed ambition in a prominent career. Add an opposition to Saturn in Libra, and we can add strength, tenacity, and a stern element. The ruler of Aries, Mars, is also angular and in a fixed sign, Aquarius. This person is tenacious and like a pit bull with a bone. Still, none of this is particularly ominous. But look at the 3 planets in Gemini in the 10th house, up here at the top. We have Pluto, which can indicate ruthless power grabbing, in close conjunction to Neptune, right up here, which can indicate deceit or delusion, and a wide conjunction of Jupiter, just wide enough to give this a little juice and make it more intense. All in the 10th house of reputation and social standing, in the sign ruled by Mercury. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. That's indicating communication. This person is ambitious, fearless and powerful, relentless, a strong communicator, hungry for power, and a bit ruthless, with some elements of delusion and deceit. Let's look at chart number 3. Notice this is another Leo rising. Since I chose these 8 people totally at random and also chose the order of appearance totally at random, I feel I must address this odd coincidence in quotes. By the way, one of my favorite quotes is by Albert Einstein, who said, "Coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous." Remember, I started this video by saying there is no such thing as an evil sign. So Leo rising people, please do not take offense. My explanation of the preponderance of Leo rising here in this group of people is that for anyone to do a lot of evil to other people, they must have an overinflated sense of self. The opposite sign of Leo, looking here to the opposite of Leo in the zodiac, is Aquarius, the humanitarian sign. You cannot fully espouse humanitarian ideals and yet do harm to other people. Like in that old joke, I love humanity, it's just people I can't stand. Now, it is necessary to have a healthy ego to be a balanced person, but just beware of the overinflated ego in the individual, I should say. And this person has no planets in ego, but in Leo, that's a Freudian slip, does have the part of fortune in Leo in the 12th house. By now, you've heard what the negative traits of the 12th house can be: deception, hidden secrets, and imprisonment. Although this person has no planets in the 12th, he does have the part of fortune in Leo in the 12th. Now, the part of fortune here could be an indicator of material gain and good luck through those things, deception and leading to imprisonment. So, the ruler of Leo, the sun, is in the 9th house. Look here at this 9th house and this huge group of things all bunched up here. We've got in Taurus, the sun, the moon, Uranus, the south node, which is sometimes associated with negative karma, and Venus, the ruler of Taurus. Now remember, Taurus is the ruler of the 2nd house. All things related to abundance, value, possessions, etc. This big group in Taurus up here, this huge group, is sandwiched by Mars in Gemini, and Mercury in Aries. Now, Mars in Gemini is said to be in mutual reception with Mercury in Aries. What that means is that Mars is in Mercury's sign and Mercury is in Mars' sign. That's called mutual reception in astrology, and that's extremely powerful. This would show here some very aggressive communicating skill. And take a peek over here at the other end of this bunch of planets. Saturn in Aries, but it's in the 8th house. Now, the 8th house here is such a big clue that I'm not going to tell you what it is because it would just be a dead giveaway as to this person's identity. So if you're ambitious and curious, you can look up all the meanings of the 8th house. A big clue. But I will reveal this detail on October 29th when we have our big reveal and announce our winner. Moving along to chart number 4, you'll notice not a Leo rising. There are 3 main focal points we'll cover here. Number 1, look at the very tight conjunction of Sun and Saturn in Aries in the 11th house. We must feel pity for anyone who is born with this difficult situation. This is a person who lives a tormented life. I have no knowledge of this person's father image, but you can be sure that it is a very sensitive area deep in the soul, and there are heavy karmic lessons at play. The ruler of this conjunction in Aries is, of course, Mars. Mars, as you can see, is in Scorpio along with the South Node, another indicator of past karma. The part of fortune, in this case it acts as the part of misfortune, and Neptune. All of these are in Scorpio. And these all spread from the 5th house of creativity and procreation to the 6th house of health. Looking at the ruler of Scorpio, Pluto, we find it conjunct Uranus. Pluto, the planet of volcanic energy, conjunct Uranus, the planet of sudden, dramatic, unexpected change, is never a smooth ride, to say the least. This is the maximum in dramatic change. Both planets, Pluto and Uranus, are in Virgo, in the 4th house, and they're along with the moon, which rules the 4th. This is the house representing the home and family. Now, in summation, all 3 of these planetary groupings we've been talking about are ruled by Mars with Scorpio and Pluto undertones. Let's look at chart number 5. Here at the top, highlighted in orange, you see an individual with a Leo sun tightly conjunct Mercury, also in Leo. This is a powerful person with a strong ego and communication skills to match. This formation is trine the Sagittarius ascendant, showing expansiveness and bigger-than-life ideals. Next to that, here highlighted in blue, we have a beautiful conjunction of Jupiter, the great benefic, with Venus, the lesser benefic. This is a conjunction on everybody's Christmas wish list. We all want this. Good luck and personal charisma to go with it. But not so fast here. Glancing down, we see 4 planets in Gemini. All 4 planets are in a very tight formation There's a total of 12 degrees of distance between all of them, all the way from Mars at the top down to Pluto at the bottom, total of 12 degrees. But the unusual thing is that you see Mars is 3 degrees from the moon is 3 degrees from Saturn, and that means that the moon is exactly halfway between Mars and Saturn. We call that the midpoint, and the midpoint is a very sensitive point between Mars and Saturn. So this is a very intense configuration, and like lions and tigers and bears, oh my, it's very unusual configuration. This whole thing is called a stellium, and it is extremely powerful, especially when you are combining these powerhouse planets like Mars, Pluto, and Saturn with a moon as trigger, as the fuse. This is very unusual and very, very intense. This would indicate volatile, powerful emotions exploding at times, which are sometimes very dark and foreboding and ominous. To cap it off, Neptune is nearby. You can see Neptune right below that stellium, and that involves sometimes deception and lies. So far, we have talked about 2 different groupings of planets, this large stellium down here and these other 4 planets up here. Each group has the opposite effect of the other. The one here is joyous. The one on the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter express happiness, love, and roses. But the bottom group is dark, foreboding, and violent sometimes. So you can see an extreme dichotomy and the opposite nature of these 2 groupings of planets, which represent an extremely conflicted individual with 2 extremes. This is the typical Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde sort of temperament. Now, to put the icing on the cake, let's look at one final element. At the top, highlighted in purple, you see Uranus. It is elevated and very close to the midheaven. This can represent volatility and extreme changes in the career and the public persona. It can indicate a sudden rise to the very heights and then an equally ignominious and disgraceful fall. On to chart number 6. At first glance, we see Mars sitting all by itself in Capricorn. Mars is retrograde and is not strong in Capricorn, and thus can represent repression of anger and repression of strong violent urges. It is in the 4th house of home and family. Next to it is the moon's node, karmic situations. Notice the very tight opposition from Mars to the Venus and Sun conjunction. This powerful conjunction is in Cancer, which is the ruler of the 4th house, home and family, where we find Mars. This emphasizes the love-hate relationship in the home. The Venus-Sun conjunction is in the final degrees of Cancer, followed very closely by the moon's south node, Jupiter, and the moon. Strong karmic indications show extreme ups and downs with the family, both the desire to express love and joy, contrasting to feelings of anger and repression. Add to this the Mercury and Saturn conjunction, which doesn't help because it's a classic indicator of depression and anxiety. In short, this could be the chart of bipolar disorder, extreme swings between, On the one hand, manic energy and the desire for love, and on the other hand, depression, sadness, and gloom. These drastic energy swings are funneled through the oppositions and quincunxes, both of which are difficult aspects to Mars in the fourth. This is where all these energies are focused and are at a simmer. Simmering until the explosive boiling point is reached. Very dangerous. To cap it off, Neptune is sitting here on the cusp of the 7th house, on the descendant, and it leads to delusions, deception, and secrets, veiling close relationships. Next, here we have Pluto, the upper octave of Mars. It's sitting in the 8th house of death. And finally, here's Uranus at the top. It's the closest planet to the midheaven. It's the most elevated planet and can signify a sudden rise to notoriety or infamy. Here is chart number 7. Let's start with the rising sign, Scorpio. With Venus sitting there in Scorpio, close to the ascendant, it's a focal point of the chart. And thus you have an individual with a powerful personal magnetism and the ability to charm. Look at this opposition with the planet Jupiter in Taurus. Taurus being, of course, the sign of money, but it's in the house of associates and friends. And voila, this charming individual can gain personal power through money and associates. Remember that Venus is in Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto. Venus is on the ascendant, while we find Pluto in the most elevated position in the chart, sitting right on the midheaven exactly. That gives us 2 focal points of the chart, Venus and Pluto. This is another strong indication showing that personal magnetism and the ability to gain power through acquaintances and money elevates this individual to formidable personal power. Pluto is in Leo, and it's in a strong trine to its co-ruler of Scorpio, the planet Mars. This flow of energy between Pluto and Mars, both in fire signs, is like throwing kerosene on the fire. Mars, please notice, is in the 2nd house, once again showing this individual's natural talent at accumulating riches. You might say, oh, I want this person for my best friend, but not so fast. Look at these 4 planets in Libra. Libra, you say? Not dangerous, very social and affable, looking for peace and harmony and justice, but remember the ruler of Libra is Venus. And with its position in this natal chart, Venus is manipulative. I'll say it again, manipulative. All of these planets in Libra, all 4 of them, are tainted by manipulation. We have the Sun, Saturn, Neptune, and Mercury all conjunct with each other. We call this a stellium. It is the most powerful confluence of planets, and they are all tainted by manipulation. The Sun is in the 11th house, giving some social graces, but all the rest are in the 12th house. Yeah, we've had a lot of 12th house people in this, but what do you expect? Because of the topic is creeps and evildoers. So in the 12th house, we have Saturn, Neptune, and Mercury. lies, lies, more lies and deceit mixed with Saturn, the planet of repression and restriction, all in the 12th of hidden things, the underworld, like the mafia. This person is so dangerous because of the sugary outer coating of charm and magnetism, which covers a kernel of bitter poison, lies, deceit, and treachery. A most charming person. Looking at this chart makes me feel ill, so let's move on to our final chart. Our final chart, chart number 8, shows a person with Neptune exactly on the ascendant, which represents in its lower vibrational expression a person who can be deceitful and or confused and possibly on drugs. In opposition, the moon is precisely on the descendant, 180 degrees away. The moon is in Gemini, sign of communication, on the cusp of the 7th house of partnerships and marriage, and with its opposition to Neptune, this is the classic indication of lying to partners, especially the female partners. The moon is in Mercury's sign and thus takes on the tendencies of Mercury, while Mercury itself is found in the sign of Scorpio, in the 12th house, indication of sexual excess, imbroglio, misconduct, secrets, and betrayal. The sun in Scorpio only adds fuel to this fire. Looking at the 7th house of partnership, we find Saturn in Gemini. So this person likely feels mentally restricted and trapped by marriage. Also, with all the Scorpio influence, we look to the ruler of Scorpio, Mars. Unfortunately, Mars is conjunct Uranus. And when you connect the aggressive tendencies of Mars together with Uranus, the planet of unexpected, violent eruptions, trouble is afoot. And it can happen quite suddenly and in unexpected ways. This causes changes that are irrevocable. And once the Rubicon has been crossed, there is no going back. I hope that this video for our Notorious Evildoers Halloween Creepfest contest has been both entertaining and educational for you. You have plenty of time to work on this contest because you don't have to submit your answers until Friday, October 28th. Please put your answers in the comments of this video. Just write the name of the perpetrator and match it with the number of the chart that corresponds to that person. We will announce the winners on Saturday, October 29th on our Astrology Vibrations number 5 live, Saturday at 3 p.m. Please, just one entry per subscribed viewer, and in the event that there's more than one winner, there will be a drawing, and the winner gets a free 2-hour reading. Good luck to all of you. Thank you so much. I love you all. Bye-bye.